My sisters and brothers, I greet you all with the love and peace of the Lord. I invite you to meditate together with me on the holy word of God of 1st August 2022. The trust God's ways are not the humans. The indicative of our reflection, the greatness of faith is not to go on thinking like mere humans in limited ways, but to put on the mindset of God and feel, think, and act like God. As men and women of faith, we are called to see, feel, think, react, respond, and act differently from others. Our faith must make us put on the perspective of God and act with His heart. It is not that we are not realistic. It is not that we fly in the air with idealistic and unrealistic ideas. It only means that our realism should be charged by our faith and transported into another higher realm. The disciples in the gospel were certainly realistic, like good common sense persons. They knew that the people who came to Jesus in the desolate place were hungry. They knew the crowd was as large as more than 5,000. They also knew they had only 5 loaves and 2 fish. They knew that it will be impossible to feed them. So they tell the Lord to send away the people so that they would procure food themselves. Here, we need not make too much of their intentions. Whether they wanted to get rid of the people, whether they did not want to face the embarrassing and difficult situation, whether they were positively concerned for the people, whether they were practically wise and see an immediate solution. These are different possible intentions. But for us, what is more important is that they were aware of the reality, assess it, and come up with a solution. This is nothing wrong, but it is here that Jesus wants them and us to think and act from a divine perspective and with God's own heart. Jesus had compassion for the people and He healed the sick. The disciples had already seen both the goodness as well as the power of the Lord. So, why could they not request to Jesus to do something by Himself? They could have easily said, Lord, you are already doing many good things and wonders. You know their hunger. Please do something to feed them. Even with their inadequate human resources, they could still tell Jesus, this is what we have, 5 loaves and 2 fish. We place them in your hands. Now it is left to you. Not that they did not have faith in Jesus, but often when we face problems, we get carried away by ordinary human thinking and acting. This is what happens also in the case of the false prophet Hananiah in the first reading. He was led by the human seeking for approval and good pleasure of the people. So, he makes a false prophecy of deliverance from slavery. But in reality, God wanted to chastise the people for their disloyalty. So, what is needed is that we always sublimate our human ordinariness with the divine extraordinariness. We need to constantly blend together our human littleness with the divine mightiness. We need to put on God's perspective and divinize our human actions in concrete situations. This is what Saint Alphonse Liguori did. He integrated the human and the divine into one whole of holiness and goodness. Now, the imperative for our life, being realistic, should not be a kind of evading personal responsibility and commitment. Solving the problems should not be avoiding challenges and risks. Ultimately, our aim must be to distribute God's grace to all and fill them with deeper contentment.